in the morning, but
Is it raining?
like I said, when you're traveling as much, things happen, and no one understands why. But no, it's weird because I talked to a few teams over there, and I was going over there. My mind was pretty well set at the end of the season. I thought I was going to go over. I talked to a few teams. They had a couple of 2-year deals and stuff all pretty well figured out. And then, fortunately enough, I want to stay here. This is where my heart's been for my whole playing career. So, fortunate enough, it works out. And it's just too bad. I knew a lot of guys. I talked to like Rusty and Beast over the year about going over and stuff like that. And it's just speechless.
Was that one of the teams you were looking at?
I talked to them earlier at the end of the season, but we were still playing, and I wasn't really concentrating on. We were just getting into playoffs and stuff like that, so I didn't really want to get into it then. But yeah, they were one of the teams, and I know they're a great organization too. I talked, I know Mark Lamont, a good friend of mine. He's played a few years over there and loved it there, and everything was good. But yeah, it's. No one wants to think about it. Just.
Did you talk to anybody about the concerns over there with the travel? I mean,
yeah. I heard it's different. People say different stories and stuff like that, and I heard some good stories, I heard some bad stories, and about travel and stuff like that. But the last 3 or 4 years, everything seemed to be good. Like the teams are paying good, and a lot of NHL guys are going over there. And even last year when Dom was here, I talked to Dom about it, and Dom's like, it's the best league outside of the National Hockey League, and when it's coming from a goalie like Dom, it's you got to believe it. So, but it can happen anywhere. Like it's one of those things when you step on a plane, you never know what's going to happen. But it's unfortunate for us. We had a lot of good friends on board. And even I knew Liver. I played a year in Grand Rapids with Liver, and just he's one of the nicest guys you ever meet.
Did it give you pause for thought to think that you could have been on that plane? You had been talking with that team.
Yeah, it's just tough. Like especially when I did talk to them early in March or later in March, and if I would have known that like the guys that went over there, I probably would have signed over there, not knowing that Rudy or Rusty and them were there. But fortunately enough, Detroit here. This is where I always wanted to play and stay here as long as I can. And it's just tough.
What impact do you think the accident will have on players considering going over there?
I think a lot of guys, especially North American guys, might consider it now. But it's just one of those things. It can happen anywhere. Like you look at planes going down all the time in New York or JFK, like wherever, but it's just unfortunately it's a whole hockey team. It's when you're playing the hockey world and a whole team kind of vanishes. It's just you don't want to think about it.
So you don't think players will be put off by concerns about the air travel over there? I know Dave King, that was the one thing that he warned Brad several times this summer about, was his major concern was the air travel in Russia.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I'm sure a lot of players that we're thinking about will their decisions will be made a little easier now. But yeah, it was one of the best teams in the league, and I heard like their plane was good and everything, like things like that. But there's different stories, and you just don't want to believe it, and still you don't want to believe it.
What eventually made your mind up? You said you thought you were going to go to Russia, but what finally turned for you that you ended up back here?
Just when they July 1st came around, and I talked to a few teams during playoffs, but you don't want to do stuff like that during playoffs. We're concentrating on just going into playoffs, and I kind of put it on the back side of the burner. Just I didn't want to think about it, and then I said I'll make a decision when the season's over. And fortunate enough, Detroit, I knew they were interested in signing me again, and we got it done. So, but if these guys never come knocking on the door, I probably would be playing over there right now, and you never know what's happened.
In light of this, would you go now if that opportunity presented itself in the future?
I don't know. It's Probably not. My wife's kind of freaked out about it, and especially when one of the teams that I have talked to. So it's a tough decision that I'd have to make. But as of now, I'm here for 2 years, and I don't got to worry about anything.